How much did pricing go up in Calgary real estate for 2023? I'm going to give you a breakdown of what prices were in December of 2022 all the way to December 2023. And what were the best and worst performing communities in Calgary? What are our predictions for Calgary real estate for 2024 and the short future after that? And for those that are waiting for interest rates to come down, I'm going to give you my thoughts, share my 2 cents, and give you a tip at the end of the video. So for 2023, we stayed and ended up in a strong seller's market, meaning the market was more favorable for sellers than it was for buyers because the lower inventory was a little bit of a struggle for home buyers. So let's talk about the benchmark pricing for each property type from December of 2022 to December of 2023. Now I'm going to put these numbers up on the screen and I'm going to have chapters so you can go back or skip to whatever information is relevant for you. So for detached homes in December of 2022, benchmark prices were $618,000. In December 2023, it was $697,000, a difference of $79,000. Now for the last 6 months from July to December, benchmark prices have stayed in the 690s. The question is this our correction? December's benchmark price was a little bit lower than November's. For semi-detached homes, in December 2022, it was $560,000. And in 2023, it was $627,000, a difference of $67,000. From August to December, benchmark pricing stayed in the 620s. And just like the detached market, December's pricing was a little bit lower than November's. For row housing in 2022, it was $354,000, and in 2023, it was $425,000, a difference of $71,000. Same story here, pricing in December was slightly lower than November. For apartments in 2022, it was $269,000. In 2023, it was $321,000, a difference of $52,000. Apartments were just on fire this year, hitting a new record every single month all the way until December. So what were the best and worst performing communities in Calgary for 2023? Now, when I say worst, I don't mean, this is a bad thing. I just mean that it has been the slowest in growth. And I bring this up because this is an opportunity for you to look at these communities as a possible option because they didn't experience the same type of growth as the other communities. Now, the caveat to this is some of these are in higher end communities where it's $1 million plus. And I'm going to put these numbers on the screen. And again, I'll have chapters as well too, so you can skip or move forward to the relevant information. Now, keep in mind, these are only for detached homes. So for city center, Highwood came in at 19% growth to 619,000. Rideau Park, 19% to 1.513 million. Rosemount, also 19% to 758,000. And Greenview had the highest at 20% to 522,000. The slowest growth was Hounsfield Briar Hill at 2% to 1.192 million, Rosedale 1% to 1.133 million, and Sunalta experienced a negative 1% to 671,000. Now, Sunalta is a little bit of a slightly different community because a lot of the houses there have been converted into 2, 3, or 4 plexes. In the Northwest, and this is some crazy growth, Scenic Acres came in at a whopping 26% at 766,000, Arbor Lake 28% to 746,000, and Ranchlands 29% to $599,000. The slowest growth was Hamptons at 12% to $878,000, Royal Oak 11% to $751,000, and Rocky Ridge at 10% to $767,000. In the North, Beddington Heights grew 21% to $562,000. Huntington Hills 22% to $558,000, and that's the same with Thorncliffe, also 22% to $558,000. The slowest growth in the north is Sherwood at 11%, to 794,000, Evanston 11% to 686,000, Panorama Hills 9% to 730,000, and Carrington 8% to 730,000. Now, what you'll notice in these different zones in Calgary, it's the inner city properties, or the ones closest to the inner city, that grew the most. The ones that were further away grew the least. So in the Northeast, we had Marlborough growing at 23% to 498,000, Abbeydale 24% to 446,000, and Vista Heights also 24% to 557,000. The slowest was Skyview Ranch, 16% growth to 678,000, Cityscape 16% to 641,000, Redstone 14% to 736,000. In the Southeast, Riverbend grew 14% to 595,000, Douglasdale grew also 14% to 685,000, and Ogden a whopping 19% to 490,000. The slowest is Mahogany at 9% at 771,000, Auburn Bay also at 9% to 770, and Seaton 9% as well to 721. In the East, Southview experienced 28% growth to 530, Forest Heights was 29% to 490, and Forest Lawn was 30% to 479. The slowest was Applewood, 21% to 522, Dover also 21% at 462, and Aaronwoods also 21% at 449. In the South, Bayview grew 20% to 1.352 million, Woodlands up 21% to 689, and Pump Hill up 24% to 1.219 million. The slowest in that area was Lake Bonavista at 8% to 889, Willow Park at 8% to 730, and Sundance 6% to 666. In the West, Glenbrook experienced 17% growth to 663, Westgate 18% to 670, and Glendale also 18% to 742. The slowest was West Springs at 4% to 933,000, Coach Hill 4% to 683, and Aspen Woods only 3% to 1.094 million. Now, keep in mind, Aspen was an expensive area to begin with, so that's probably why we experienced only a little bit of growth. And all the lower price communities experienced the most growth. Okay, so what are our predictions for the Calgary real estate market for 2024? I'm going to keep this super high level, okay? I'm going to bring it down to the fundamentals of economics, which is the principle of supply and demand. Of course, you can nerd out on things like immigration, interest rates, GDP growth, but that is outside of this video. I'm going to pull myself up 40,000 feet in the air and really just look at population versus the number of homes in Alberta. So in Alberta, there's about 2.4 people per home. In 2023, 194,000 people moved to Alberta. In 2023, housing starts were only 34,500. And the term housing starts really refers to the start of construction of a new residential unit. So based on 194,000 people who moved to Alberta and 2.4 people per dwelling, we are short about 46,300 homes. So what's clear to me is that we are already short on housing. Our population is expected to grow, and housing starts cannot keep up. So this will have a compounding effect over the next few years, and the housing crisis will probably get worse. The only thing that will ease it is the amount of people moving to Alberta. And people that are selling are not really moving to other provinces. They're typically staying within the city that they're in, whether it's Calgary or Edmonton or some other city in Alberta. Now, for all the buyers watching this video, waiting for rates to come down to buy, I want to share my thoughts. Number one, we are never going to know where rates are going to be. Even the experts get it wrong. Instead, focus on what you can qualify for, the features of the home that you're looking for, and making sure that you can qualify for your property even if interest rates go up. So as an example, this is how we advise all of our clients is when you're getting your mortgage assessment done, whether it's a pre-approval or just a mortgage assessment, what you want to do is you want to ask your mortgage broker for two different scenarios. Number one, what can you qualify based on today's rates? And this is only if you're deciding to get a variable rate, okay? And two, get them to run another scenario based on if rates were to go up 0.5% or even 1%. Of course, you need to know what your family budget is, because if you run those scenarios and say, if rates go up 1%, will I be able to afford it? The second question you have to ask is, will I lose sleep paying for that payment if rates go up 1%? Some of you guys may say, you know what, if it goes up 1%, it's okay. And you're okay with that increased cost. Some, the risk tolerance isn't as high, or you might be stretching your budget just because home prices here have already gone up. So what you want to do is making sure you want to run those stress tests on yourself to see what you can afford in terms of your monthly budget. Now, some of you guys might have been wanting to get into the market, say a year ago or 2 years ago, and you've kind of seen values kind of go up. I'll be honest, with the housing starts and the amount of people moving here, housing just simply can't keep up. So what I would suggest is, number one, talk to a mortgage broker, because getting a pre-approval, that's the first and most important step of the home buying process. The step two after that is talking to a team like us so we can do an assessment and see what you can qualify for. What can you buy out there, and will you be happy with it? Just based on the principles of supply and demand, I don't see demand for Calgary real estate letting up anytime soon. So do your due diligence. If you need help, give us a shout. We can hook you up with our mortgage team, and we can also set up a buyer strategy session just to have a conversation and see where you're at. But that way, at least you know where you stand versus guessing where you stand. Our contact information is below. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to comment or connect with us directly. My name is Felix Chan, Calgary Realtor and Mortgage Broker with the Live Inner City Real Estate Team, powered by Real Broker, and we'll see you in the next video.